This is my cue to talk. Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for ThoughtCast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up?
Hi, are we recording? Are we on?
Yeah, we're on
Is
now.
this thing on?
Is this thing on? Yes. What's up?
Hi, how's it going?
I
just got home from work. I'm
Same.
still in my work clothes, and yeah.
Same. I changed out of my work clothes into my podcasting clothes for my other work that I love so well.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I was going to do the same, and I was like, I don't want to keep you waiting, so here we are.
All good. Oh, Steve, ever the gentleman and punctual.
Right.
Steve, actually, what have you been up to?
You know what? I've been working. House projects, working, having fun. Yeah. I feel like this is a trick question, but it's not.
Not always. I think what I mean to say is like, what you been cooking though lately? We haven't talked in forever.
I have been cooking healthy stuff. Ooh. And I hate every moment of it. Because I eat it for like a day or two. And keep in mind, I'm prepping for like a week's worth of stuff, which is a bit much.
It's a lot.
But,
it's a lot.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, do I want all this stuff to go bad, or do I just cook it all and eat it? And like by half a day, I'm like, oh, why did I cook so much? Why am I eating healthy? Ugh, so tired of it.
Yeah,
but I've been eating good. I've been having some good food. What about you?
It's always the same. I will do meal preps, and then I get to about the third day, and I'm just really sick of it. Trying to do some more healthy things here as well. I mean, healthy is kind of completely relative depending on who it's for and what their needs are. But
right.
In my case, there's a gnat in here. Never fails. Everything tries to stifle the podcast.
Because you're so sweet, they're around you.
It's because I'm so sweet. Well, first of all, before I tell you what I've been cooking, what did you say?
Well, I said on the diabetes.
First of all, before we get too far into it, I have a bone to pick with North Carolina because it got to 80 degrees here today and the mosquitoes came back. And I'm very upset about it. So there's one. I just killed one in the fridge when I was feeding the dogs. I was like, "You don't belong in here, sir. Thank you. Bye." Yeah, in the fridge. And then I already have a bite. I've been home for 10 minutes.
Fun fact. Yeah. Flies for sure. If they get into like a very cold temperature, they will just freeze up.
Yeah. And then they come back to life. It's like hibernate.
So what I do whenever I see them at work in my coolers, I'll scoop them out with a piece of paper. I'll put them on the floor and I'll step on them, because the only good fly is a dead
petty.
Yeah.
True. One thing that I did to make something kind of healthier this week was I wanted some sweet snacks to have around the house. So I made sugar-free chocolate pudding, like from a box. I'm not an animal, just from a box. For the milk though, I used chocolate protein shake. So it's like super rich, kind of that Dutch chocolate, like that deep cocoa flavor. Really good. And then I had sugar-free Ready Whip on top. So very, very protein dense. Like I ended up with 4 servings of chocolate pudding that all had no sugar and 8 grams of protein a piece. Not too shabby.
And they filled you up from all the protein, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not that every dessert has to have protein, but I kind of like it when it does.
Yeah. So is that the most amazing thing you've had to eat all week?
No, but I was going to let you go first.
Okay. I'm put on the spot now. I had to think about
that.
On the spot. Actually, we went to go have Mexican food, and I had like these empanadas that were supposed to be like they were called quesadillas, but they were more like empanadas, and they were just hella good. It was like I got a mixed one of like chorizo, one had like chicken, one had just like pure cheese, and holy crap, I enjoyed all 3 of them.
That sounds incredible. I love that so much.
Yeah, it was really good. What about you?
The most amazing thing I had this week was definitely something that I made. I made a peanut and tofu curry.
Oh, that sounds really good. Walk me through it.
Yeah. So I had, so I like to buy a lot of produce at Aldi, but their produce is always on its last legs. So what I do is I like chop it up and freeze it in bags, like however I'm going to use it. So I had diced zucchini, yellow squash, celery, and onion, like in a Ziploc bag. I did half that and half edamames. I froze the tofu, pressed all the water out, and chunked it up so it kind of looks shredded, like just really organic pieces, kind of not like an intentional dice, but just kind of more natural looking. Toasted some peanuts and kind of went the peanut sauce route, lime juice, fish sauce, red pepper flakes, a little maple syrup, and smooth peanut butter, but also added ginger and yellow curry powder and kind of made that the base. So stir fried everything super hard, got it nice and golden. And then little like frozen green beans and corn, like bits and bobs from the freezer, right? Just trying to use up some veggies. But the peanuts and tofu were the main star. And yeah, it was awesome. So I made 4 portions of that. And I, froze it and meal prepped it up. I have to tell you about the breakfast I made that I can eat while I'm driving to work. You ready for this?
Tell me.
Yes. It's Kodiak protein pancake mix.
Okay.
Smoked turkey sausage links diced up.
Okay.
So you put the sausage links in the bottom of the muffin pan. Prepare the pancakes as directed on the box. Okay. I subbed about 1/3 for vanilla protein powder. And I had some cinnamon apples that I made maybe like 2 weeks ago. I froze like a half a cup. I just couldn't finish. I was eating on top of yogurt, but I ran out of yogurt. Put that into the batter. So kind of some McGriddle action happening there.
Nice.
And then I cut up string cheese. So I basically poured like this cinnamon apple pancake batter over chopped up string cheese and smoked sausage and baked it in muffin cups. So 30 seconds in the microwave, eat it on the road, done.
Nothing wrong with that. That sounds super
good. It was really delicious. So
nice.
Yeah. That's what's been going on over here.
You need to film that. You need to just show people how to make that.
I know I'm really terrible at it. I need to learn from you.
I have been struggling lately because I've been working so much, and then of course we had Halloween and all sorts of stuff. So, I've just been pigging out on candy. That's why I'm trying to go here, and I'm regretting every moment of it.
What candy? I saw some Reese's in your stories the other day.
Reese's and purple pachyderm wine. That was so good.
Yes.
Yeah. That let's see. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of chocolate Kit Kats, Reese's Pieces, a couple Snickers. Things I shouldn't be having, things that make me happy. So I need to figure out how to enjoy nature's candy, i.e. fruits and vegetables.
I had 4 fruit roll-ups yesterday. 0 regrets.
Oh, have you seen like those people who do them, like they puree it and then they like they throw pectin and all sorts of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Fruit roll-ups?
No, I don't have time for that. I want the one with I want the red 40. I want the yellow 2. I want every color to be every color to taste like a different fruit. And I want it to have never seen a fruit in its life. That's what I want. Give me the artificial. Sometimes that's what I want,
Yeah.
Also, fellow manager and myself crushed $51 worth of Taco Bell.
No kidding.
Yeah. That was stress eating. For those of you who don't know, I just finished opening a restaurant.
Was that off the dollar menu, or was that like just regular menu and you had like 3 items?
It was like meals and a ridiculous amount of food, to where the drive-through person was like, "Are you high?" We were like, "No, only high on life. This is stress eating. We're just gonna eat the feelings," which is fine.
Stress eating is just the greatest, isn't it?
It's awesome. There's not anything wrong with it at all. I wanted some garbage food and I wanted a lot of it. Yeah. And I got the meat sweats and I regretted it. I felt like absolute garbage this morning. I had a crap food hangover. If you didn't know, that's the thing that can happen.
It is possible.
Totally. It is possible.
Been there. Yeah. So it sounds like I need to figure out how to make a better Taco Bell and show people how to do that.
Probably, just so I'll stop eating it. It's crap. Did you film anything?
I am actually slacking. I have some stuff that's filmed. I just need to put it together and do it. I know, right?
Nice.
So yeah, but I've noticed lately that I've been putting up like shorts and stuff like that, TikTok, and then you do like the YouTube shorts, and I get quite a bit of views on that one. I think keeping people's attention for so much time. I haven't cracked that code yet for my 4-minute videos. But like I do like to show people step by step, and I do have a lot of people who are like, "Oh, this is awesome, this is great," but like I feel like I could do better. Like I need to change it up. So
okay, well, what does that look like for you? Like, what is changing it up look like? Do you have to try to understand the algorithm or what?
I could probably put actual effort into figuring out the algorithm. I just do the same formula over and over and over. I start off, "Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen," and and then it's whatever I'm gonna make. So the hard part for me though is like whenever I'm making those videos, it's like, okay, I have to make enough to show people how to make like for a couple people, and then next thing you know, like I have enough food to feed us for like a week, and it's just me and my wife. So
Yeah.
you know, sometimes that's happened a couple of times, and then sometimes you have stuff just to get like a quick dinner. So I don't know. I just keep it simple. But like I said, I like showing people how like step by step and how to do it.
Is there any special behind the scenes things that happen at your house for you to have to film those? Does somebody hold the camera for you? Do you have a tripod?
Oh, in that case, so I've got a tripod for my
Okay,
phone because, of course,
cool.
I had a camera at one point, and then I figured out the camera just like sucks. Like your phone is better than a lot of cameras that are out nowadays.
Mm,
Unless you're going to spend like over $1,000 on cameras, but
mm.
I'm not doing that. Lighting,
Same.
there's filters for that now. Did you know that?
Ooh, no, I
I know.
didn't know that.
I actually spent like $25 on like a cool light and all that stuff. And
That's
then you have like
cool.
the circle lights to go on your phones, and like there's all sorts of tricks to do, but there's filters for that now.
So, in case anybody's just has changed the station and stumbled onto this podcast and isn't keeping up with the conversation, because I understand how podcasts work as media. If you just got here, we're talking about creating content today. That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So,
Yeah.
Stephen has an extremely successful YouTube channel with a lot of followers that he had all on his own before we scooped him up for the Food for ThoughtCast. So
Now shameless plugs.
yeah, shameless plugs abounding. But yeah, I just want to understand more about like creating content and how that works.
There's people out there that are much more successful than myself, and that's great. I started doing it, like I said, just for fun. And I actually had a buddy of mine, the same guy who took all the pictures for my cookbook. He like filmed, got great footage and different angles and all sorts of stuff. And it was like professionally done. And I was like, I live 5 hours away from you. I can't do this. So we're just going to shoot for my phone, call it a day. And I mean, like I said, I've got some really good videos out there where people are all about it. Like I have my lampshake video, and that one has actually been the most successful one. Probably because I love lampshakes quite a bit. And it was funny because
did you say lamb shank?
yeah.
Okay. At first I thought you said lampshade, and I was just gonna see where you're going with it, but I was really confused.
Well, I'm also a little bit congested. So there's also
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to draw attention to it, but I was like, what did he say? I'll have to play it back later. Oh my God, what did he say?
So when you make your lampshades, you want to have the brightest light possible.
Oh my God.
Well, no, so there's some things that are better than others. And there's there's a couple videos where I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be so awesome. And the next thing you know, like you get like 20 views, and you're like, okay, come on. But it is what it is. Like I said, I just like to share ideas with people. And then I also like to try stuff that I see like on the TikToks and the Instagrams and the MySpaces and the Facebooks and stuff. And we're giving our ages away here, right?
On the Live Journal and the Zanga. You ever seen the MySpace? Yeah. How do you so you like to try out other things that you've seen, like maybe your riff on somebody else's stuff, right?
Sometimes.
But if that's not the case, how do you decide what to film?
A lot of the times it's what am I craving? What am I in the mood to eat? And then if it's something that I've made, it's back to the drawing board, because I do have quite a few videos out. So
you have a lot, yeah.
I know. I'm going on, I think, year 3 of doing this.
Wow.
I'm not getting paid for it yet. I'm trying. I'm getting close. But honestly, it's just whatever I'm in the mood to make. Like if I'm craving like a really good burger, I've probably made burgers, but it's like, okay, how can we change this up and do like, a smashed burger or a stuffed burger, or I don't know, a patty melt. There's all sorts of things.
Sounds so good.
And I mean, even like, for example, poppers. I love jalapeno poppers. So it's like, how do we incorporate this into like a jalapeno popper stuffing? I've done like a poblano popper or a Texas sized popper, if you will. Like all sorts of stuff, even s'mores. Like how do you kind of put your twist and change stuff up from just like a normal, recipe?
Can we talk about the possibility of a savory jalapeno popper s'more for just a second?
I think we can.
Okay. What's the chocolate component? Is it mole? It's mole.
It's mole.
It's mole.
Is it mole? It's mole.
It's mole.
Yeah. I guess like, so for a what would you do for your marshmallow though? That would be like your cream cheese with the
why can't you make can you make savory? Dear Google, Alexa, can you make savory marshmallows? Sorry. I mean yell that.
Well,
she said she can't find a recipe right now. She's in the other room. She's busy, but
right. I'm sure there's a recipe for that, and I'm sure someone's done a jalapeno popper s'more.
Yeah.
Because everything that I've thought of has been done. Like I remember when I was in restaurants and I did foie gras flan, I thought that was the most creative. It's never been done. No, it's been done many, many times. So I was like, well, crap.
It's nothing new under the sun, as the good book says. I think that it's we like to riff on each other's ideas as chefs, and so when we talk about creating content, it's also it's not just virtual, right? It's menus as well. But I think just the two of us sitting here right now, like we thought of something that could potentially be a really amazing idea. I don't see a reason why
you
were copywriting it. I don't see a reason. Well, it's hard, right? So for something that like a performance, for a song to be officially copyrighted, it does need to be played in public. Like you can go through the financial process, or you can patent an invention, but it's interesting, right? You can't really copyright a plate. You can't really copyright a menu item. You can buy the rights to a name, like Ore-Ida owns Tater Tot. Man, Ore-Ida's going to come for us, and then they're going to shut the pod down. I'll get canceled.
Right. That's what you get, bastards.
I'm going to get potato canceled. But I mean, it's really interesting, right? So I think that you could make some sort of egg white kind of pimento cheese deal, right? Some sort of souffle cut in a square savory graham cracker. What's a savory graham cracker? Like a cornbread crouton-ish,
But you would have to like add you would add your bacon grease into it so that way you can incorporate like your bacon component for your popper, right? And then I would imagine what you could do is also like you could probably fire roast and
if you bacon, if you bacon stud the savory cracker, right?
Yeah.
And then you have like pimento cheese savory marshmallow. I don't know what else to call it, but marshmallow doesn't make sense, right? But it has to be some fluffy, pillowy, cheesy component. And then mole.
You do like some sort, like for your marshmallow component, you could do like your cream cheese, pimento cheese, and then just kind of do some sort of like maybe not gelatin, but
egg white. Like, yeah, right. That's a head scratcher.
You would have to like take out the sugar from your quote, air quote marshmallow.
What if you did like agar? Or
you could do that too. I was about to say, or like pectin or something along those lines.
Yeah. Hey, listener, just hang out there while Steve and I have this conversation.
Right.
Just be over there. It's fine. Yeah, I think that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, I kind of want it. And then
go ahead. And then
I was like, and then you like freeze dried the jalapeno, and you just hit two sides of the melty s'more and like freeze dried jalapeno dust, and then you kind of stand it up, like you stand up the whole s'more.
We're on to something.
Oh my gosh, dude, I want to do it. I want to do it.
So like a lot of the times whenever I make my content, it's just like the fewer items, the better, because of course no one's going to want to do like a dish that takes like 20 ingredients, And then if I do have 20 ingredients, it's stuff that you have in your kitchen: salt,
right?
pepper,
garlic. If anybody is watching at home, my filter is going crazy behind me. Sorry, it's like blurry, not blurry, and not. But camera, I'm right here. The most important part,
right?
So, it's me. Yeah, it's interesting versus home, like coming up with something for home and something for a restaurant, right?
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. That is an understatement right there, because when you're making content at home, yeah, like you're just making a small amount because you want to show someone how to make something. But if it's successful, you put it like in a restaurant setting, you're having to mass produce that quite a bit, and it's a cool thing. But at the same time, like you have to figure it takes many tries, 9 out of 10 times, to get it right on a much larger scale.
And sometimes you don't really have the luxury. Like, let's say if I'm working in a situation like a country club and I'm doing their a la carte menu for dinner, or it's a regular standalone restaurant and I need a catch of the day. I might have 24 hours to come up with it. Maybe a week, like if I'm charting out an entire week's worth of menus, but I might only have the afternoon to come up with something. I might have the fish in house, but I need to know what it's going to do. And at that point, I'm not basing it on, like, you might be basing some of your content on, what are we going to meal prep this week for me and Ursula, or like what do I have around me, or what's in season. But on a bigger scale, it's like, what will the guests like? What's going to be memorable? What's going to make money? What do we have in the house to use? It's a really, really interesting contrast between the two. I think sometimes if I hadn't been in restaurants, I don't really know what my cooking would be like at home, to be honest, because I get so influenced by, I refuse to say I'm influenced by influencers, but I think everybody is on some level, whether you want to admit it or not. Yeah. But I will say, like, I get really influenced by what I'm in the mood for, but it's based on, like, what are the things I've burned myself out on and now hate because of my job? And I will never cook those things at home. So there's a no-go list for things I won't cook for myself. Yeah. And then I think, and then you talked about the things you're craving. Some of your cravings can be weird, right? Mine aren't. Out of the blue, wild. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I just wanted peanut sauce really bad. Really bad. I just wanted it. And I built the dish around wanting that, Yeah.
And one of the things I also noticed is, like, the easier it is, the more people are open to it, like, again, nobody's going to spend, half a day making, a recipe or a sauce or something. They can, but not everyone wants to do that.
I could make a 4-minute reel about bouc de Noël or pot de creme or something like that. But I think what people, or at least from what I can tell on the internet, are looking for is like quick, because we're kind of in this TikTok generation, not us millennials, but the people behind us who are making all the content, and I think that if it's something, I think it's so deceiving because, they have before and after food. And the thing that really bugs me about finding a content creator for food that I like on social media and trying to do something, the thing that bugs me is, like, when it doesn't work. They just did it was clickbait. It was just for views. You do the recipe and it doesn't turn out. And now I've wasted money. There's nothing more disappointing. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like your content, Steve, is like real things you can do in a real house, like in an actual regular people's kitchen, right?
Which is in my actual kitchen.
It's in your actual kitchen. I mean, that's how Martha Stewart started out. She was filming in her own home, and I think that there's something more relatable for it, but for some reason, sometimes it doesn't really hit that mark of like the views. Because people want to see the weirdest things. They want to see like mukbang videos, like people are eating mountains of food, and I can't. Yeah, what I can't stand is people chewing. I don't want to hear people chewing. If that's your thing out there, ASMR and all that, great, more power to you. Keep it over there. I don't want it. If I'm watching an influencer's food video and I have to hear them chew the first bite, I'm automatically out. I'm completely done.
It depends though. If you're making something crunchy or crispy, like people want to hear that, like, or like if you, I mean, people want to hear stuff like that, because if you're like, oh, I'm making this badass bread and you want crunchy bread, you want to hear that when you're cutting into it or biting into it.
Yeah.
Like that's one. But yeah, like I mean, you will never
I mean,
hear me going.
I think, yeah, and that's something I appreciate about your videos too, is that you actually take a bite of the food that you just made. And I think it's obvious that it is. It's not a fake out. It's not a switch at the last minute, right? But it bugs me when I look at. I watched a video. I went to some dear friends of mine's house. I've talked about them before on here, and I know they wouldn't mind me mentioning this. But Tiffany and Jared, we would have these like epic Tuesday night dinner hangs where they would make dessert, I would make dinner, or vice versa, and we sometimes will send each other things back and forth on Instagram and be like, make this next time, or this looks great, or what do you like this or whatever. And it's awesome. But there was one time where I tried to make a chocolate tart, like a flourless chocolate tart. So no crust, kind of like a mousse tort, I guess, kind of for lack. No, tort has layers. Tart's the right word. I digress. But anyway, you're supposed to steam an entire butternut squash and combine it with 400 grams of a dark chocolate, basically like almost baking grade, like a 60% and up, not baking, like for baking, but not baker's chocolate. Woof, I'm all over the place today. Sorry, people out there of the internets. But you were supposed to be able to combine these things. So it was about 450 grams of chocolate, or almost a pound. And, you're supposed to be able to combine these things, pour it in a cake pan, let it set, and cut it in a slice. It's not going to work. I thought maybe there was enough dairy solid in the chocolate, it firms when you melt and refrigerate it. It's kind of like butter, it has that quality. It didn't work, dude. I was scooping out with a spoon. Like I made pudding, and it was so irritating. I was like, guys, I think this will work. And I got there and they were like, wah, wah, like it didn't work.
I mean, they all can't be zingers,
I know, but in the
videos where it's like, it didn't come out, and I'll even own it. Like, okay, this was not what I expected. And I say that from videos from time to time. Like, I would probably add more of this. I'd probably do this. That's just me.
But it's frustrating because you don't get the real result, right? Like, and then you're comparing your failure with, this is kind of like a mental health verbiage, but I think it's the same thing, right? Because we're talking about balancing expectations between real and not real. You're literally comparing your failure with somebody else's highlight reel. And no few words, right? Like the finished product they showed in that video was a wedge of like set. It probably had egg whites or gelatin in it or something like that. And it's not fair, like, because it's not real. Yeah. And then here I am over here with like, half gallon of pudding to eat at the end of the day, which I didn't hate it. I put granola and whipped cream on it, and I had pudding for breakfast, and it was a vegetable. It was awesome. But like, it also kind of ruined me for pudding for a while. I'm not going to lie. I was like, this is a lot of chocolate, and I like chocolate, but like, this is a lot, it's too much of a good thing. So
I will say though, if you do put out content, just expect negativity to come out too,
Of course.
So
do you have any favorite bad comment you've ever received?
Let me see. The one that actually, it didn't upset me or nothing like that, but on my lamb shake video, a gentleman put, "Hey professor, don't you think it would be a good idea to put the ingredients like in so we know what we're doing?" And he was right. Like I intentionally left him out because I was like, buy my cookbook. This recipe's in my cookbook.
Yeah,
I actually just added like all the ingredients to it, and I forgot. I think someone else had responded later on, like, you didn't. Why wouldn't you put in the ingredients? And I put, perhaps you didn't read the description of my video. I have the ingredients here. You clearly aren't paying attention, And
honestly. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I do have a friend of mine who likes to heckle me from time to time. So one time he put, "Oh gosh, finally some food that's edible," and it took me a while. I was like, man, screw you. And then I realized, oh wait, no, I know exactly who this is. So, every now, but like I said, like sometimes you get like some really good comments, like my mollejas one. Recently, someone put like, "This is the best video for like mollejas that I have ever seen." Like,
this is sweetbreads, right?
All the other ones I see, like, they suck. They didn't put it like that, but they were like, "This is the best one I've ever seen for sweetbreads," and like that's a huge compliment. And again, that's just me doing something that I like, having fun.
Nice.
I will say, like, on my Facebook page, on my chef page, I had someone send me some, he was like, dude, you're not a real chef, you're just a cook, blah blah blah. Like, he was basically like, thanks for the laugh, loser, and this and that. And so I checked out his actual profile. I was like, okay, like, you're talking a big game. And I was like, well, like, culinary school, I've worked in restaurants for 10 years, I have an idea of what I'm talking about. And he's like, yeah, you're a loser, blah blah blah. And I looked at his page, and he like, there was pictures of his food. And by the time I was about to respond, well, like, if you're gonna talk shit to someone, like, why don't you put food up that actually looks appetizing? He blocked me. So I was like, oh, what he was afraid I was gonna call him out on that. But I thought of that way too late. But
so,
like, every now and then I get heckled.
Some people will heckle in good fun, and maybe you can, kind of suss those out. I think some people just want to cause trouble, and that kind of the comment section of the internet, the comment section of anything, right, is really a toss up between people who are well intentioned and people who like to hide behind a keyboard. It doesn't matter what the topic is, right? And I think there's a lot of vitriol and hate and really stupidity that. But man, when we're talking about food, it's like, come on, it's food, right?
Yeah.
It's food, ladies and guys. Like, this is not a brain surgery. This is not do or die. This is it's sustenance in a fun form. I thought you might enjoy this video. Please don't be a jerk, right?
Well, and every now and then you'll get someone with constructive feedback, like, oh, I would add this and I would add this. And I love those comments. Like, it's just like, awesome. Thank you for that feedback. I didn't think about it. Like, it's a different perspective. And every now and then I'll get a comment where it's like, you don't know what you're doing. I'm like, well, this is my channel. This is my recipe. This is my video. You don't have to pay attention if you don't want to, So, like, whatever.
Right. But that's how I feel about all sections of social media, right? This is my thing. And if you don't like it, bye.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about my kitchen. I eat the things I like to eat. I'm going to cook what I like to cook. And if you don't like it, see ya. I have a lot of people all the time. I just don't like tofu. Cool. In your kitchen, don't cook tofu. It's fine. You don't have to like it. I like it because several years back, not several years, I guess it's more recent than that, but everything feels like it's been a million years, right? Because it's a lot of life has happened, but the price of eggs and meat went up. So I used less eggs and more beans and more tofu and less meat, right? Like I figured some things out because I wanted to spend less money. Eggs are a manageable price now, but now I've kind of like, I exist without them. I exist. You see what I did? Yeah, without them. Womp womp. So, I have to do it at least once an episode. Steve, when did you start producing food content?
Yeah, I want to say like 3 years ago, something like that.
Have you
right before COVID? I want to say.
Okay,
so it was like 4 years ago.
Because a lot of people started doing that stuff during COVID.
Yeah, and honestly, it was one of those things where my mother-in-law was saying you should put like a QR code in every video or in your book, and tie it all together so you can give a step-by-step, which is a great idea. But I'm not that technologically advanced. I know how to put up a basic video and call it a day. Thumbs up. But at the same time, I was like, well, I already put out this book. Like, I can't go back and add all this stuff. You
go backwards.
Yeah, but I mean, like, she had a really good point, a valid point. So again, I had a friend of mine, film a couple videos, and he did a bang up job. But it was like 10-minute videos, 8-minute videos. And I'm not going to lie, as great as they were produced, it was like, okay, I'm getting, like,
I can't watch a video for 10 minutes. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, I will doom scroll my phone all the time. I'm really terrible about it, but it's a really good turn your brain off disconnect. So I give myself about 15 minutes before I go to bed, and then I'll do some other things. Like, I'll pray and meditate and but it's just a good, like, turn the brain off. It's like when you watch a TV show that you've seen 1,000 times,
Yeah.
And, but one of the things is, like, I don't want anything longer than like 2-3 minutes. Even that's really pushing it, right?
Yeah. And so
I want like a minute and a half.
Yeah, I was in that boat for a bit, like, where everything was like maybe 6 minutes, 5 minutes. And then I started doing like the local news every Friday. And during COVID, my friend would tell me, you should send me like no more than 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I just started following that kind of formula, and it just works. in my opinion, because it's like, okay, how do we get all this into like 3 to 4 minutes and then done, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kind of stuck with that, you know.
Well,
But
our good friend, go ahead. Sorry.
Like I said, I just like cooking. I like people seeing me cook, or I like to share that with people.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think it's a great view into like kind of who you are, and a great way to share your character, your personality. And it's just like anything else kind of in this virtual, like how we're connected in this way, right? It's a really neat way to share a piece of you, but it's low cost. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, people can indulge if they want. There's really no barrier to entry to that. It's something that can feel very vulnerable and personal, but like you also are not making these dishes for, you know, a service of 140 and you sell 2, right?
Yeah.
Like it stings just a little bit less. Like the content's just as much for you, I think. Is that fair to say? Than like it is for the folks out there.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and so I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Like you create stuff. So
yeah,
even though you don't think you're making content, like you're still making content, you know?
Yeah.
And you share it with people like on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
And so like people want to know, like, well, that's pretty badass. How'd you make that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm sure you've been asked that many times, right?
We're creating content right now. You know what I mean? And people ask me, how do you decide what you're going to talk about? And I'm like, very honest. I go like, hey, sometimes it's like 5 minutes before we get started because Steve and I both have a day job. Like we haven't paid for this. You know?
Like, yeah, you're right. It's like, what do we talk about? You know, so it's tough, but at the same time, we aim low and score high. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's my life's motto.
Well, and you know, good friend of the show and listener. Thank you so much, Mikey, one of the hosts from the Deucecast movie show. You know, Deucecast, shout out. He has this I won't say rant, but he does recognize that today's generation has a shorter attention span, and kind of, I think it could be attributed to like the style of social media that they consume, right? And the style and type of content that they like to consume. But he will like really lean into that and say that's why like younger people don't really appreciate movies. And I think I tend to agree with him because I can hang in there for a 2-3 hour movie, but I can't do it without my phone in my hand. Sometimes I have to rewind and go back. I just get distracted. Like it's just instant gratify on the little computer that's in my hand. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to. Right. Well, I can do it. Can I do like a potty break though? I'm getting old. I don't know. I watched like Mission Impossible 4 the other night for no good reason, just because I could, and I like popped a bowl of popcorn. It was my dinner. No regrets. Protein shake, bowl of popcorn. But I don't even have to justify the bowl of popcorn, Steven, with the protein shake, but I felt like I should throw that in there.
Yeah, salty and sweet.
Because I did have it. Yeah, salty, sweet, duh. But no, I mean, I did find myself looking at my phone, and then I would look down, and it's funny that we're having this conversation because I would look back up and go, man, what did I have to look at my phone for? Why? Because something I subscribed to on YouTube like popped up a subscriber notification, like a bubble, like a red notification, and I'm hardwired to immediately check it. Like I can't even imagine. I just felt like a rat in a maze. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, something so drastic. Was it life threatening that I had to check that? I mean, can't pay attention to a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like when I watch movies too, like I can't watch anything more than 2 hours nowadays, which every movie nowadays is like 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. You know, it's like, but I can't do it anymore because I fall asleep. Like in the theaters, I fall asleep all the time.
So I'll tell you, and we'll talk about some of our favorite content creators too. Like there's an not older, that's not the right word. There's a well-established guy. I'm sure you've heard of him, Binging with Babish. You know that guy? So
I might have seen him a time or
he's been around on YouTube for a really long time. A lot of things he does are pop culture related. So he'll recreate, like he recreated like the cheesy blasters from 30 Rock, like Meat Cat and the cheesy blasters, or he'll do things like he'll be like, I recreated this from this movie or this TV show. Very accomplished chef, really, really cool guy. His videos are long. I lose my attention span. Like they can be long because they have to be detailed, because he has to tell the story of like how he got there and how he recreated whatever it is. But yeah, it's so I totally get, to Mikey's point, even when it's food content and I want to watch it, I want it packaged and small and like easy to digest. Puns always intended. Intend your puns, cowards. But yeah. Yeah. Do you have any favorite food content creators, Steve?
One of my favorites is a guy from South Texas. And his name's Arnie Tex, and he does like Tex-Mex food, like stuff that I grew up with. And it's
I think I've seen that guy.
Yeah,
actually.
So one time I was down the valley, I tried to hang out with him, but like our schedules just didn't line up. But he's cool dude. Like he actually answered like when I reached out to him and all that. He was cool.
Yeah. So I just Googled him just to make sure I was like talking about the same guy. He has that epic mustache. He's the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's cool as can be.
Dude, that's so cool.
Well, who else do I watch? I don't know. Like I don't have like a lot of favorites that I think of like off the top of my head. I follow a handful of pages on like Instagram and whatnot, but
I have a list. I do. So there is a couple out of the UK. They're called So Vegan. They make their own, like, they'll do like alternatives. People kind of have this like tired argument about veganism, right? They're like, why do they want to make everything taste like meat? It's not making things taste like meat. It's just making things taste good. And meat is like umami. So it tastes good, but they do some really, really brilliant stuff that doesn't have any preservatives, fillers. They're not buying like sub burger patties. I really like those kind of things where people get really creative and I learn something. So I'm not vegan, but I really appreciate like what chefs can do with that stuff. There's a guy called Layton. He is the Plant Slant on Facebook and Instagram. He's not vegan, but he like advocates for beans because he says like 2023 and 24 were the year of fiber. So whereas every year before that we were emphasizing protein, but he's like, you need this much fiber, and he does neat stuff with like lentils and beans. But what I like about that guy is like he is no nonsense nutrition information. So it's not from a place of like body shaming or this is the only way or like keto is right and everything else is wrong. It's just like very no nonsense from a guy who went to school for it. Like, this is how many grams of this is in this, and this is how you can get more or less of this, right? Just like very bare bones. Beardo Weirdo, that guy.
Oh yeah, that guy's awesome.
That guy's amazing. He doesn't create as like so much as he reacts, but he's really, really cool. Zach Coen is a bodybuilder who does meal prep with Walmart ingredients and Aldi ingredients. So, and he does like halfway stuff. So he will take rice-a-roni and make it into stir fry, for instance, or he'll make like Kraft mac and cheese into something macro friendly, for what his goals are. But like he shows people how to take convenience foods and make them into healthy meal preps, which I really appreciate for time and stuff. Cause food's expensive. Like, it doesn't matter. No two ways about it. Right. Mississippi Kween, Kween. She does a lot of crock pot and casserole. I really like that content a lot because sometimes I want comfort food. Lilyloutay does, she's on Facebook. She has the thickest Southern accent I've ever heard. She has some really legit cooking skills and she cooks like down home, but it's all scratch. I love that stuff. And I love like a one pot dinner too. And then we can't forget our friend of the show, Chef Hawks. His YouTube station is like hidden. Every time I turn around, there's a new video on there. So, and he makes some amazing content and he shows people things. Like the most recent one I watched was he just showed people how to clean a deep fryer. Like you and I, we've been doing that for so long. That's just a native knowledge to us. Like it's just kind of built in. Like, show me a deep fryer, I'll show you how to filter it and I'll show you how to clean it. But like, it's important that we learn that from somebody one time, right? Dude, if I was 20 years old again, which I don't think the world could handle it, they wouldn't be ready for it. But if I was 20 years old again and could watch a YouTube video about how to clean a flat top, I would.
Yeah, totally.
I totally would. That would be an amazing resource for me to have. So the fact that the generation behind us has all that knowledge, it's really, really neat. So yeah.
Well,
but yeah, I like the content creators I can learn from, and also that the stuff looks like it tastes amazing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
Now you're influencing me to go start creating. And
gonna send you. I'll put the list of the creators in the show notes. There's a guy called I Think I Can Cook on Facebook. He literally has a stationary camera and he just shows him cooking his family's dinner. The guy's legit. He does all sort of things, but he does them in bulk. Like he's cooking for 5 every night.
Yeah.
So I love that stuff.
Nice.
I love it. I mean, I'm a chef. I know how to cook a whole bunch of things, but I love watching that content. I never get tired of it. So because I like seeing other people like thoughtfully engage with food too. You know?
Yeah, most definitely.
So Steven, what are you cooking this week?
I guess I'm making savory s'mores.
You're making savory s'mores. I can't wait to see it.
Normally, I keep it very simple. This one's going to be a little bit more detailed. So it's going to have to be a multi-parter.
Yes.
Savory marshmallows, mole negro, bacon, jalapeno, cornbread crisps, crackers.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. I just got 3 videos.
You just got 3 videos. That's content right there. Everything is content. Hashtag. Everything is content. One of these days, I'm going to get brave enough to put myself out there and I'll film cooking something. And when I do, I'm going to come to you because I think you're the content creating guru, my guy.
I wouldn't say guru, but I appreciate the compliment.
The guru. Take the compliment. Take the compliment.
Cool. Well, we're going to have to really start figuring that out and setting up dates.
Well, I get people all the time, too, that are like, when are you going to film cooking? I'm like, it's a podcast. It's not a cooking show. And I have time for that. I have a full-time job. I have a full-time job. The best you're going to get out of me is me sharing something Steve already filmed and being his best hype man. So there we are.
You know what? We'll have to do that. One episode, we're just going to have to, I'll be in my kitchen cooking, and you and I will just be podcasting / cooking.
Okay. Bet, as the kids say.
Ugh.
As the kids say. I'm almost too old to say it, but bet we will do that. We will film something in tandem from my house and yours. It's a deal, buddy. It's a date.
We have new content. See, we're always coming up with content.
New content happening all the time. Hey, Steve, I've had a great time, but we got to go.
I'm getting tired and hungry, so yes, it's time to eat.
Same. Bye.